Welcome to the Stock Report, where we take a look at this past weekend in college football and we see what prospects hurt their stock and help their stock. What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse. Quick special thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring the video. If you're looking to support the channel and get your nads looking nice at the same time, then go ahead, check out Manscaped. You get 20% off plus free shipping at checkout when you use promo code Broshmo, all caps. Let's go ahead and get into this crazy week in college football, starting with Mike Sainristil. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly, but this was a cat we were watching during the watch along and in the Michigan Ohio State game, and he really stuck out. Him and Rod Moore on defense for Michigan. Rod Moore is going to be a guy in the 2024 class though, but Mike here was very interesting because this cat, he was all over the place, all over the field when it came to the Wolverines, consistently making plays. He had that nice pass breakup in the corner of the end zone on Cade Stover, where like straight up, like CJ Stroud put it perfect as it could be. It was in the hands of Mr. Stover, and Mike comes along and is just like, flick, get that mess out of here. He had 8 tackles, 2 pass breakups this past week, did allow over 100 yards, which was the most he's allowed all season, but I mean, that's going to be tough against the plethora of playmakers that Ohio State does have. But on top of that, he allowed his first touchdown of the season. He's had 6 pass breakups this year, and he's been really solid. So I was like, let's look into this cat. And it's wild because this is his first time playing the defensive side of the football. He's formerly a 3-star recruit from the 2019 class, and he played all 3 phases of the game in high school, and that kind of carried on to Michigan, I suppose. He kind of started his career in Michigan as a receiver, but was really playing his biggest role on special teams. And then this season, he switched over to nickel corner, where he was basically taken over for Daxton Hill. So that's kind of legit. That's kind of crazy. And he's done a really good job this season. Like, this dude's range, his change of direction is like the first thing that's stuck out when I was watching the game, and then going back and watching a few of his other games this past weekend, or I guess Sunday. He's really good. He really is. He's a guy that's affected all 3 phases of the game at Michigan, because like he actually has some legit stats at receiver. Don't know if that'll be something he does in the NFL, but like he is coming in with a very small sample size, only 550 snaps. Granted, they've all come this year. When it comes to playing on defense, he is a bit small. Not an ideal frame. I'm kind of curious how he'll measure out, but like will he be measure out a bit wiry? So maybe have like 33-inch arms. That would be sick. Like, he's gonna need an all-star bowl. He's gonna need a killer pro day, I think, to really elevate his stock, just because the sample size is so small with him. But you like at least on tape, you like this guy's range. Excuse me. You like his willingness to stick his nose in contact. Like, this guy plays with an aggressive and physical nature. He's been a sure tackler this season, and like, I don't know, man. I really don't know, because the size 5'10", 182. Almost all of his snaps have been in the slot. So you're looking at a guy that's probably maybe a slot corner only, possibly, or maybe a guy that's like just scratching the surface of what he can be defensively. So right now I'm leaning late day 3 with him, just because he's a bit small. Curious about the length though. And the sample size is just so small, but I mean, just like seeing, okay, he's played receiver. Fair enough. I have not looked at any of his receiving snaps, but this dude could be a gunner on special teams. So it's like a guy that's kind of done both sides, like all sides of the ball. Like, there's a little bit of value in that. So I'm kind of curious, man. He definitely, he got me curious. He got me thinking. And then I want to talk about CJ Stroud's performance altogether. I want to stick with this Michigan Ohio State game because a lot of people, I think, have fooled themselves into thinking this was a poor performance on CJ Stroud's part. And I don't think you were watching the game if you kind of came to that conclusion. You'll look at the 2 interceptions, and I'm going to tell you, I don't think either interception was his fault. Honestly, I thought his worst pass came in the first half, where it was supposed to be, I think, a slant or a bubble screen. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but it was like legit into triple coverage. Should have got picked. Because if you look at the interceptions in the game, you had the first interception was when they were driving. It was 3rd down, so it would have gone to 4th down. He got basically pushed out of the pocket, and they're down 8. He's eager. He wants to pick up this first down. He knows he's not going to do it with his feet. So he sees the guy, basically, I don't know if he ran a stick route or if he was just kind of a check down option. And really the only, he goes to toss it to him, and he gets hit while he's trying to toss the ball. So it kind of gets redirected towards the defense. So I didn't really think that was much of his fault. He was trying to really extend the play. They needed a big play. But then you look at the other interception, and it was right off of Stover's hands. Stover had a rough game. He had a couple of drops. But to be fair, they were all pretty tough catches. Even going to the TD one, Stover should have had that. But Sainristil, I'm gonna get this guy's name down because I really liked how he played. But just kind of got a couple of fingers on it and just pushed it out. But there was one where Stover, honestly, I don't think there was a better place you could have put it, but it did involve him having to make an acrobatic catch, just didn't come down with it. And then there was the interception where the only place he could have put it bounces off his hands, and it bounces into the hands of the defense. So I don't think the interceptions were his fault. This dude was dropping dots all game, towards the sideline, literally tossing it into the bread baskets, leading his guys, putting it where no one else couldn't get a hand on it. He was dropping dots. That arm talent is kind of legit. There were a couple of passes that maybe got away from him. We do know that he has a tendency every now and then to overthrow targets, but none of them I thought were detrimental to the team. They just kind of resulted in incompletions. But I thought he had a good game. You look at the adjusted completion percentage, it was at 76%. That takes away spikes, throwaways, and drops. So I thought he had a good game, man. And I'm pretty sure all 3 of the drops in this game were because of Stover. So rough game for Stover. That's why you look at him more as a day 3 guy at the tight end position. But I thought Stroud played as well as I thought he played well, man. I really did. So if you think different of it, then I don't know what to tell you, man. I really, really don't. But let's move on to Bralen Trice out of freaking Washington. Had a banger game against Washington State. 15 pressures, had a sack. The dude was a monster. This is a guy I've been meaning to get to all year because he has 64 pressures on the season. I think he has the highest pass rush win rate, or win rate in general in college football, at I think it's 30 or 33%. So it's something ludicrous. So I was and honestly, this guy is dwarfing my boy Zion Tuipulotu Fetty, guy I really liked at the beginning of the year. And he's kind of, I would say, fallen to more of a day 3 guy at this point. But Trice has been the dude. So I was I got to find out more about Trice. This guy has oodles and oodles of eligibility. Because when he first arrived at Washington, he redshirted, and then he opted out of the Rona year. So immediately, like this cat, he could declare for the 2024. I think his eligibility actually stretches to 2025. So that's kind of wild. But like watching this dude, I was like, man, I think this dude like could be a first rounder in 2024. I think he's a top 50 prospect potentially right now. But I'm not positive if he comes out because this is legit his only real season of production. This is his first season as being a true starter. And this was a cat that did a lot of things in high school. I was looking and it was like he played basketball, baseball, soccer. He even did karate on his free time, and that might become relevant. We'll talk about it in a second. But he came in at 225, came into Washington. He's put on 40 pounds since. He's up to 269. And this dude is pure muscle. He's stupid strong. He's actually got a very explosive first step, and he combines that with good length. Nasty bull rush. Very good at turning power into speed. And I love how he closes the space between him and ball carriers because he's got a long frame. I love his hand usage. If you didn't notice, this guy's been wearing a club on his right hand all year. But this, for being a first-year starter, like, it's not just his hands are active, but his hand placement is not of a first-year starter. So I'm liking a lot. And this is where I'm like, maybe a part of that is the karate. Or maybe not. Maybe that's irrelevant. But I thought it was a fun thing to bring up. He does a good job setting the edge in run defense. However, is a miss tackle machine. He's like a 35% missed tackle rate. Something he could clean up. It's more of a technical thing. It's not like he's falling off, guys. And honestly, my biggest concern with Trice was he's not good at getting or maintaining leverage. Like, he's not the most flexible guy. They often use him like 7 tech, 9 tech, because the bend isn't nice. It's very average bend, but for a guy that power is kind of his game, it kind of makes sense. So you kind of have him play a bit wider, so he works with a natural angle rather than being able to actually bend around the tackle. So that might be something he has to do in the NFL. But he does play a bit high with a high pad level, so he never really gets that leverage naturally, and he really has to work hard for it. And sometimes if tackles are able to win the leverage game with him, they just stop his initial attack right from the get-go. This is a cat that has a plethora of pass rush moves, but not necessarily the game plan or how he decides how he's going to attack a blocker. I don't think that's all put together yet. Like, oh, if this guy does this, then I do this. Or if he does this, I do that. Like, how he goes about pass rushing, it's just kind of like he's rattling out moves willy-nilly, you know? But it's nice to see that he does have a variety of these different pass rush moves. And keep in mind, again, first-year starter. Didn't play his first 2 seasons there at Washington. So this is a cat that maybe it's all coming together, and like another year, like maybe watch out. Like, even if he declares, I think this is a very good edge class. Very good. I have 10 edge prospects with top 50 grades. It's just ludicrous. It really is just ludicrous. But he had a banger of a game. And then on to Brevyn Spann-Ford out of Minnesota, because we haven't really talked about a lot of tight end prospects. Like, this tight end class is it is what it is. I think it's better than last year's, but I don't think this is saying much. And I kind of bring him up because if you're a big fan of Darnell Washington, then this is kind of like a value brand, Darnell Washington, that I think might have a bit more flexibility in terms of what he can bring, like a bit more versatility, I guess. But former 3-star recruit, played basketball in high school, set receiving records in high school, ridiculous frame at 6'7", 270. Didn't really see significant playing time until 2021, and then 2022 he's kind of been the main starter. And that's kind of where he's shined. Obviously, he's a big boy. He's a thick boy, but he's lined up wide, for the Gophers. He's lined up in the slot. He's lined up in line. He's been in the backfield as a downhill blocker. So you love that. He's improved or at least he's improved from 2021 to 2022 as an actual like run blocker. This guy's at his best when on the move. He's a pretty darn good athlete for his size, and he's capable of running away from guys in the front seven. I don't think linebackers are keeping up with this dude. He's got a massive catch radius, like no kidding, at 6'7", 270. Massive catch radius, very soft hands, good catcher. This dude's primed to be a red zone target, and with his versatility, he is. He's gonna make a roster, straight up. He's gonna make a roster, but he is kind of a bit of your value brand, Darnell Washington. He does have special team experience, but really only on the field goal unit. Now, he is a bit of a tweener. He is, are you a inline blocker, or can you be just a big body passing threat? Because I don't think he's ever going to be a high-end pass catcher. He's tall and whatnot, but there's no real suddenness to his game. There's no real how he breaks tackles. He's a battering ram. He's tough to bring down. It's kind of clunky, his transition from catching to becoming a ball carrier or running with the football is a bit clunky. It's not real natural. His routes, honestly, I really couldn't find much in terms of anything outside of he's either chip blocking and then leaking out to the flats, or he's just kind of finding the soft spots in coverage and just kind of sitting on them. There's not really, I don't think, much of a route tree to speak of when it comes to I'm just gonna call you BSF. But also, he being 6'7", he suffers from the tall man problem when you're on the line, meaning you kind of struggle to sink your hips and get leverage. But honestly, you look at midday 3 for him, and I think you think about this guy in the 5th or 6th round, especially if you really love Washington. Then you're gonna look at BSF here, and you're gonna be like, well, we couldn't get Washington, but I think we get a very good prospect in him here. Had a good week, 7 receptions for 95 yards. And I mean, this dude is a good run blocker. He has literally been springing, been a big reason that these past 2 years, Mo Ibrahim has just been springing loose. To be fair, Mo Ibrahim didn't play last year, but this year, isn't Mo Ibrahim 3rd in college football? In terms of yards? Not positive. Next guy I got on the list is Jared Wayne out of Pitt. He demolished my Hurricanes. To you, baby. To you. I'm not loving the Hurricanes right now. I said before, once we made the hire of Mario Cristobal, I was like, how does Oregon's former coach leave them, and yet they maybe get the better coach? I would have rather Dan Lannon. But hey, Cristobal, let's see what he can do from here on out. I just don't have a lot of faith. But Jared Wayne had a game. He had 3 tutties, over 200 yards. I think he was the only receiver to break over 200 yards this past weekend. And I like this cat, dude. He's 6'3", 210. He does have that prototypical X size. This is his first season really breaking out. Apparently he's been dealing with injury this season too. It's just Pittsburgh, they don't disclose that information of what the injury is, so no idea. But apparently he's had a nagging injury, and this is his first season over 1,000 yards. Dude's looked good. He is one of the better contested catch guys in this class this season. 67% contested catch. I think he's 16 to 21 or something like that. He has a huge catch radius. He's got a nice build. He shows acceleration once he catches the football. He accelerates very quickly. He has really good long field speed. I would say he He's very similar to Quentin Johnston in terms of he's tough to bring down after the catch because he's got a thick frame. I say thick frame, but like because he's a bigger receiver at 6'3", 210. You're just a bigger receiver, and he's got a little elusiveness to him. He's a little shifty with the feet, a little here and there. I like that he doesn't struggle to get off the line of scrimmage. Then again, if you're a bigger receiver, that shouldn't be a problem for you, and it's not. He's very good at closing the cushion between him and off coverage corners and just stacking them. I like how he creates separation with his hands. Like, there's a lot to like about this guy. It's just he's not the most crisp. He's not the most creative route runner. He is often allowed a lot of cushion. I talked about he's pretty elusive for his size, but don't be fooled. This guy's stop-start ability is bougie. The suddenness just ain't there. He's not going to blow you away in that regard. But and he does look a little bit wiry, but like, look at that muscle. Play strength ain't going to be a problem. It hasn't been a problem for him thus far this season. I don't think it's going to be a problem for him in the NFL. So this is a guy I'm right now liking early day 3. I really hope he gets a Senior Bowl invite. I'm really hoping. But monster week this past week. He's had a great season thus far. And then next, we got Trey Palmer. I actually haven't talked about Trey Palmer much, if at all, this season outside of my 7-round mock draft. So I was like, shoot, let's talk Trey Palmer. Had a good week, 9 receptions, 165 yards, 2 tutties. He officially this week declared for the draft. He is like a redshirt junior, I believe, or maybe he's like a 4th-year junior because, again, the Rona year, it ruined everything. But, dude, freaking Palmer is fast. If you didn't know, like this cat, right from the get-go, this dude's return experience is nice. He has a back at LSU, he had a tutty on a kick return and a punt return. He has, over the course of his career, over 200 punt return yards, over 450 kick return yards. This guy's fast. Back in he's former 5-star recruit. He was a standout in track, winning the 100-meter state title. This is back in Louisiana. He went to, what was it, Kenwood High School, I think? Not positive. Don't quote me. But he won the 100-meter, and then he captured 4 200-meter state championships, with senior year being a record for the meet. So this guy's blazing fast. He went to LSU, wanted to stay home. I mean, that's kind of that's the big college there in Louisiana. So everyone wants to go to LSU. He goes to LSU. Problem was, if you're not familiar with what type of receivers he was stuck playing behind, well, let me fill you in. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Keyshawn Boutte, who is a top 50 prospect this year, Terrace Marshall, who, he's playing in the NFL right now for the Panthers, doing all right this year. So, like, yeah, the depth was kind of deep. Shoot, even you can even say Racey McMath. He's been a good special teamer for the Titans. So he chose to bet on himself. He went to Nebraska, and the dude has put out a career year. Good for you. Congratulations. Dude's a speed demon, like legit. Like, and I'm not saying like this is a track star trying to play football. Like, this guy's stop-start ability is ridiculous. He is good luck. He will make you miss after the catch. So he's not just a vertical threat. He's a guy that can do it on short, intermediate. He's also a guy that knows how to fluctuate his speed during the route. He does a real good job at that. He actually shows head fakes and body fakes to get defenders to bite. Like, you love that, even despite not like running a full route tree, because we'll talk about that in a sec. Some of the things that are like, I'm not wild about when it comes to Palmer. But this is a guy that he's 6'1", 190, likes to high point the football, but he has predominantly played the slot over the course of his whole career. Though I think a good 30 to 40% of his receiving snaps have come on the outside, so it's not like he hasn't done it, but that will be a concern, his physicality when it comes to the NFL. Honestly, my biggest concern, this guy's drop rate for his career is like 14.5%. If you didn't know, it's typically a red flag if a receiver's drop rate is over 10%. This guy's at 14. So when you go and actually watch his tape, I think he's got ball skills. Like, this is a guy that knows how to high point the football and contest the catch point. There are some cases where he will let the ball hit his pads and it'll bounce out, but more so you're seeing focus drops. And a lot of that, when you look at focus drops, it's just not keeping your eye on the prize and kind of like thinking about what you're going to do with the ball rather before you actually secure the catch. Those are very fixable in the NFL, but still, you look at that drop rate, that's still a lot to take in. Like, that's mighty high. Doesn't run a complete route tree, didn't there at Nebraska, but I think that'll be fine just with the guy with how athletically gifted he is. He could be a bit more sharp out of his breaks. He does tend to round his breaks, so that might be something. That might be also like he could run a bit lower. He doesn't run a bit high, but this is a guy that's getting free releases in the slot. Like, this is where I'm scared. Like, I say scared. I'm a bit concerned that he does kind of run a bit high off the line of scrimmage. Like, don't get me wrong, this dude gets off the line of scrimmage, but when you are running a bit high, you're allowing defenders who are probably going to be 6 foot or they're going to be smaller. Like, when you're 6'1" at receiver, typically you're going to be bigger than most defenders you go up against, and they're going to be able to get leverage on you. They're going to be able to stack you, especially at the line. So it's like, are we dealing with a guy that might be a slot only? But a guy that's this tremendous of an athlete, you're willing to risk the biscuit on. We've seen that, and has it been fruitful recent years? I don't know, not necessarily. Like, Danny Gray is a guy that we don't really know much of this year with him on the Niners, and he's kind of stuck on a very good depth there on the receiving core. But you look to like an Anthony Schwartz, who was more so a track star playing football. I don't think that's the case for Palmer. I like Palmer as a top 100 guy, and yeah, dude, I'm glad I finally got to talk about him. Next on the list, we got Devon Achane. I had to talk about him after this freaking LSU game because this dude was good. So one of my biggest concerns with Achane was like, is this a guy that I don't think this is a guy that's going to be able to be a bell cow at his size, 5'9", 185. We know he's fast, no duh, but I don't think this is a guy that's going to be able to really eat contact. Like, if you look at look last year, like, he was a guy that if he got hit relatively early, then he was going down. But this freaking LSU game, 17 forced missed tackles. He had 38 carries. He already has almost 200 carries for the season. I feel like I have not given him enough credit. Like, he's not just fast. Like, this guy was pretty methodical following his blocks, being able to eat contact against LSU. And I walked away from Achane like, I got to move this guy into at least my top 75. Like, he was just outside. I think he was like probably in that 80 to 90 range. And I was like, I got to move this guy higher. Like, I don't think it's enough right now to eclipse. Like, I really love Sean Tucker, but he is right there with Sean Tucker. Like, we already know Achane, stupid fast. I know the size is going to be like, I say he's not going to be a bell cow. You look at that size, he's not going to be a bell cow anyway. I don't think that's a problem in today's NFL. It's typically committee backfields. But man, this performance against LSU, 38 carries, 215 yards, 2 tutties. It was special, and it was a big reason why A&M ended up ending LSU's very slim playoff hopes. Good luck against the Bulldogs, LSU, by the way. Anywho, on to the next, and I want to talk about Trey Benson. I've talked about this dude quite a bit, but I think I think we need to talk much more about freaking Trey Benson. Because I think there might be a case that this cat, I might be willing to put him up there with Blake Corum and Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he's probably going to be closer right now to like Sean Tucker and Devon Achane. But man, like what this guy's doing this season is ridiculous. First off, had a banger game against Florida, 20 carries for 111 yards, 3 tutties, 51 receiving yards. If you didn't know, this cat, when you're looking at forced missed tackles on the season, which is typically the big, like if you do like to have some, analytics or stats to kind of back what you're talking about, forced missed tackles is kind of the biggest thing I go to. It's the first thing I look at when I decide if I want to watch somebody. And he's 5th in the nation with 77 forced missed tackles. If you go and look inside the top 10, everybody has over 200 carries. This dude only has 169 carries. This dude's forced missed tackle rate is insane. It truly is. And if you're not familiar with Trey Benson's background, then this dude used to be an Oregon back. He was a former 4-star recruit, played defensive back in high school as well. As a freshman, he suffered a major knee injury, so didn't even know. It was a non-contact, which typically non-contact injuries, you kind of fear the worst with those. And this is while he was on the scout team. Didn't think he was going to be able to play football again. Redshirted that year, returned in 2021, but he was stuck behind C.J. Verdell and Travis Dye. Decided to transfer to Florida State and has been just so good this season. Dude's electric. Can take it to the house at any given moment. But he shows patience. He shows good vision behind his blocks. Once this dude plants his foot, bye-bye, he's gone. He absorbs contact relatively easy. He's shown really good return chops. Of course, the knee injury will probably be the biggest red flag for most people. I'm right now, honestly, the way he's playing, it's like, I'm going to take a shot on this cat. Like, this dude is just so dang good. Not much experience in the passing game, whether it's as a receiver or as a pass protector. So that might be, I think that's legit my biggest question, but what he does as a running back is freaking remarkable. And I'm actually moving this guy as I talk up my board even further. I can't help myself, man. I really can't. I really can't. I'm literally doing it right now. I don't know if I have the balls right now to move him ahead of Gibbs or Corum, but this is a my guy. Straight up, Trey Benson, you're a my guy. I love this cat. And then I want to talk about a few other guys in this game, this Florida State game. First off, Robert Scott's totally returning. The offensive tackle, left tackle. So last year, he kind of had a good stretch where it was like, oh, we could see the upside with this guy. This year's just been a nightmare for him. It's not been nearly as good. Hopefully, he puts it together in 2020, in the 2023 season. It ain't happening this year. I am going to talk about quarterbacks in this game. And I just can't talk about Jordan Travis just yet. I haven't actually sat down and committed to watching him, unfortunately. So I can't really give you a fair opinion on him outside of, this game. He was I didn't think it was spectacular, but he didn't put the ball in harm's way. I really thought Florida State really leaned on the running game. To be fair, he had a few pretty bad drops by his receivers. But Jordan Travis, hopefully I'll eventually get to him, but I just haven't. But I want to talk about Anthony Richardson. Because will he declare? I think he likely is. And if that's the case, realistically, we're going to have to talk about him in the first round. top 20, I don't think I can be there with it. I know you're going to look at the tools. You're going to look at the tools. And you're going to love it. There's going to be people that are like, dude, he's so raw. I'm not touching him. Like, give him a year to put it together. I don't think he's going to do it under Billy Napier. That offense, I don't think is nearly as translatable to the NFL. And he would just, he would be better served just playing backup while he on an NFL roster. I think he'd be better served that way. But in terms of tools, dude's got a monster arm, quick release, mobility. Like this guy is not even just quarterbacks, but one of the deadliest threats with his feet. And it's just like, the tools are there. He's got a nice sturdy body at 6'4", 232. I don't think he will overtake Will Levis though, which might be a surprise to some people. It's just like you look at Will Levis, and he's just more he's coming from an NFL system. He's a bit more put together. He understands how to go through progressions, and just like when you look at I guess from the mental aspect of the game, Anthony Richardson isn't anywhere close to where Will Levis is. You'd be like, well, Will Levis makes dumb decisions. Coaches are going to think they can fix that. That's an easy fix. When you look at Anthony Richardson, you look at a total project with insane tools that you're hoping at the next level. Like you want guys that can extend with their feet. Is that the end all be all? No, but it just gives you that extra little bit of something. You see it with Patrick Mahomes. You see it with Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts this season kind of putting that all together. By the way, I was wrong on Jalen Hurts. I'm willing to admit that. That's fine. I'm happy he's doing well. Honestly, if I don't like a guy and they ended up succeeding, good. I want people to succeed. Unless they're like Spencer Rattler. He ain't coming out this year, dude. I think he's sticking around another year. I don't think a team will touch him just because of the character concerns. I don't know if they're any better this year. I haven't heard much. I kind of trust Coach Beamer keeping the reins in, but in terms of the play, like that dude's still playing outside of structure, and wanting to throw the deep ball. The mistakes are still there. Like he virtually looks like what we saw in not last year at Oklahoma, but the year before. What was I talking about? Freaking Spencer Rattler. But I think at this point we need to talk about Anthony Richardson legitimately as a first-round prospect. He's kind of an enigma, but like at the tail, like you get to pick 20, you're gonna start thinking of Anthony Richardson. You really are. You really are. Because this is the type of guy you're willing to take a shot on. So I haven't really included him in mock drafts the past like month and a half because I really thought he might end up coming back. But like the more I think about it, the more I kind of read what other analysts and such have to say about it. The more I'm convinced it's like, yeah, I don't think he gains much outside of just being more consistency in his play. But honestly, like just get him on an NFL roster, start developing him. But yeah, we got one more guy on the list. Guarantee not a lot of y'all know who this is. Joshua Gray. I have talked about this guy before. I think guaranteed at least in my 7-round mock. But this cat has been the best offensive lineman there at Oregon State. And his play this season has been such an improvement over the prior year. And he's listed as an offensive tackle. I think he makes the move to guard. I think in the NFL, guard is where he's going to be at. I'm kind of waiting. He is sub 300, though Oregon State listed him at 300 this season or at the beginning of this year. But I've also seen him listed at like 289. But regardless, dude, I think this guy makes the move to the interior. And if that's the case, I could see him going early to mid day 3. this cat, he utterly shut down Oregon. Oregon was getting no pass rush through Gray. Like, who was the cat that I think it was DJ Johnson ends up throwing a punch on a fan at the end of the game because he had to match up against Gray this whole game, and he wasn't having it. You might look at that. I was like, they only had 16 passing snaps. This guy is probably the best run blocker in the Pac-12. Straight up. I really think that might be the case. Like, this dude's a smooth mover. Again, one of the best run blockers. I love it. I think in today's NFL, where the teams love the outside zone and wide zone running scheme, they're going to love a guy, like, especially if you consider him a guard, they're going to love a guy that can move like this. I think last season, he was 27th in positive graded runs by PFF. Dude, he's got quick feet. This dude can mirror about anybody. Like, this dude is made for an outside zone blocking scheme, and the NFL is filled with coaches with outside zone blocking schemes. He is a guy that does need to get stronger. I think he's shown improvements in that this season. I would like to see him get a more, I guess, put more muscle on, because like the dude doesn't have a weak anchor, but I think it's been better this season. It really has. Also, in the run game, this dude's not getting toroed, if you don't know what that means. Like, basically, he's not a lunger at the second level. Like, defenders aren't, like, just having to dodge him because he's, like, shooting out. Like, he's playing with more balance and more control. Really like that. Like, definitely a dude to watch out for in terms of, like, day 3. Like, I've really liked what I saw. I think I'm going to wait to move him to my actual interiors list. Because to be fair, looking at this interior class, I don't think it's terribly that strong. Even like a guy like Nick Broecker, who, hey, good Senior Bowl, in fact. I like it. I think he's probably like a day 3 guy. Like, so like, and even when you get to day 3, dude, it gets a bit scarce, man. Oh man, I should have talked about Oluwatimi, dude. He freaking had a banger game against Ohio State this week. Didn't mention him. Now that I'm looking at it, I really should have talked about him. I mean, that's why I kind of like freely talk about prospects in here. Because I know some of y'all just skip to see who's being talked about, and then you shoot a name of a prospect. It's like, oh, wow, you should have listened to the video. I'm salty, dude. I'm sorry. I like bringing the salt. What can I say? Who else? Well, there was another name I wanted to mention in this Beaver game. I think it's Alex Austin, the corner. I haven't gotten to him. I'm going to get to this Beaver defense because I think there's going to be a few guys that are draftable, especially with Alton Julian playing. He was a safety I really liked before the year, but haven't got around to watching him this season because he was coming back from, I forgot what type of injury it was. But yeah, that's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. As always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.